Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Sideline to Sideline. I'm telling you right now, I got to get used to it. But welcome, everybody, to another episode of Sideline to Sideline. I'm Wire to Wire Gene, and to my left, I have the Prince of Production of Sports Empire Network, the King Kyle Edwards. How you feeling, Kyle?
I'm good. I can't wait for tonight because we're now a week out from the season, so it's all good for me. Glad to be here with you guys.
Directly in the caddy corner position, my partner in crime from Birds Deep, I got THEEGODFREY, D Godfrey. How you doing tonight, Matt?
I'm doing all right. I am feeling good. A week closer to football season. Full thrust in fantasy football draft season right now. So I'm knee deep in player data, opinions, takes. We got it all here for you on Sideline and Sideline.
Well, I directly below me, and welcome back to the show. Man's been out for a couple weeks, but we missed him. I'm giving him new nicknames. Everybody gets a nickname around me. The Prince of Production, THEE, Big Time Timmy, Tim Riordan. How you feeling tonight, Tim? Welcome back. How's life been?
Dude, I'm good. I'm still fighting with this voice to try to get back. That's why I was out 2 weeks ago. And then I was at a bachelor party last weekend in Milwaukee with one of my best friends. So here this week with you guys, ready to talk some football. We even have some college football tonight, Florida versus Utah, to look forward to once this podcast is ended.
You know what else we got? We got my fantasy draft. This is my big money fantasy draft, and I'm going to do it on air. It starts at 7:30, so screw it. Let's get nuts. I got Tim right below me. Tim's going to help me out.
Yeah, man, I'm here for you. I just we just did our listener league on my Sirius XM show yesterday, and dude, I think I nailed that draft. I was psyched about it. I've been getting tweets all day about how great it was. So I'm feeling good about fantasy football this year. I'm in a good fantasy football mindset right now.
You definitely nailed that draft. The draft that you sent earlier?
Yeah. Yep.
You definitely nailed that draft. Like, what are we talking about? It was a great job. It was a miraculous job.
I was stealing, man. I got there and stole Jackson Smith and Jigba in the 10th round of a 14-teamer. I love that pick, man. I've been thinking about it all day long, basically.
Before we get too far into the NFL slate, since we're talking about fantasy, and I just kind of want to bring that up, is which rookie wide receiver do you think has the biggest impact this year? This isn't a fantasy show, so I'm not looking for the fantasy answer, but I'm looking at the full answer, right? A lot of rookie wide receivers came into the league this year. Which one has the biggest impact year one? Is it Jordan Addison? Is it Quentin Johnson? Is it Jackson Smith and Jigba? Or is it, Zay Flowers? You got a bunch of them that got drafted. I have one that might not even be one of those four. I think Jalen Hyatt from the New York Giants has the ability to be wide receiver one over there. I think he's going to be number one on the depth chart by the end of the season. Guy's got he's an absolute rocket ship running off the line. His speed is unbelievable compared to Tyreek Hill. Got up to 23 miles per hour last year in a college football game. Which rookie wide receiver has the biggest impact year one? Kyle, I'll start with you.
I like the Hyatt pick. I will probably go. I got a feeling about Quentin Johnson.
Damn, you took mine.
Well, I think in that Chargers offense, they love throwing the ball around. There's going to be some weeks where Keenan Allen's not going to be there. Mike Williams isn't going to make it through the whole season. So I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity for Johnson, even just going down the field and just throwing it up to him and having him go up and get it. So I think he's my pick, Quentin Johnson.
So I'm going to give Godfrey a time to regroup. I'm going to go to my man, Big Time Timmy Jim.
For me, it's Zay Flowers. I don't want to blow the rest of the show here, but I'm very high on the Baltimore Ravens this year. I'm loving their offense. I think where, Quentin Johnson and Jalen Hyatt, Jalen Hyatt could be the number one on their wide receiver depth chart. I think Zay Flowers already is the number one on Baltimore wide receiver depth chart, with Rashad Bateman not being able to really get on the field in training camp and preseason, and then Odell Beckham's the only other guy on the other side of the field. So I think Zay Flowers is going to have a huge season.
You're not a big Nelson Aguilar guy? I'm kidding.
Who's that?
Exactly. Oh, I love it. Great response. Now, Zay Flowers is listed as their starting. It looks like they're starting slot receiver right now, but he will definitely be on the field. I'll guarantee you he'll outsnap every receiver on that roster.
Yeah, in 3 receiver sets, he'll definitely be inside more often. Just at that size, he's too little to win too much on the outside. He has speed to beat cornerbacks on the outside, so he was able to do it at Boston College. But yeah, in the NFL, it's a different beast. He'll probably be mostly in the slot this year, but I think they are going to go 3 wide quite a bit on that team.
Crazy thing, Zay Flowers ran a 4.3 40. And he was 5'9" coming out of the draft. Now, most people are listing him at 5'10", 5'11" now. Apparently, he grew 2 inches from the draft until now, which is insanity. But that'll be interesting. Godfrey, give me yours. Who's your number one? And don't steal Kyle's.
Well, he went before me, but Mike Williams is Mr. Glass. So he'll have a chance there, and with Kellen Moore going with a vertical offense, I've seen a lot of improvement. I'll give my pick right after this in camp, and I've been reading about it. And in preseason, I think Quentin Johnson has changed his technique and how he catches balls, and that was my concern of him coming out of college. But a guy that I think is going to go a little under the radar, people might disagree with me on this, is Tank Dell of the Houston Texans.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why is you got Bobby Slowick, that's from the San Francisco 49ers, going to bring some elements of that offense. Put up 1,300 yards, back-to-back years, a lot of missed tackles. Maybe he can be mini Debo for all we know. But I liked what I saw at him in the preseason. Made an impressive catch against the Patriots. You probably remember that one, Kyle. And I just feel like he's got some elements there that, this guy is a baller. Like he's a baller. He plays football. So I think he can make an impact on a team where it's kind of, you got some talent there, but I think there's a path to relevancy in that offense with the young team.
So I'm going Jordan Addison. You have all the targets in the world, and you're going to see a ton of coverage over there for Justin Jefferson. Jordan Addison's going to get plenty of targets. I think their running back room is awful. I think it's terrible. I'm not an Alexander Madison guy. If you didn't know that, I'll tell you again. I think he's braille. I think he'll fall apart this season. He's never had a full workload in his career, including college. I truly believe that Jordan Addison takes a huge rookie leap. It's a very wide receiver friendly offense. He's going to get the targets over there. He'll be on the field. He'll outsnap any receiver on the field, not named Justin Jefferson. I think Jordan Addison's the guy. I actually think he's the best receiver coming out of college between the 5 receivers that come out. But what I will say is this. I love Jalen Hyatt, man. Jalen Hyatt is going to receive a ton of attention in New York. New York has no wide receivers, none. And if you think their second-round draft pick that's been turning heads throughout all of preseason isn't going to see the field over guys like Sterling Shepard, who's hurt every single year, I think that you're mistaken. I think you really are. I think the Giants, they released Kenny Golladay. They got out of that stupid contract. And I think the Giants are really looking for a wide receiver, and I think Hyatt can be that. When you look at their group, it's Paris Campbell, Isaiah Hodgins, and Darius Slayton are slotted to be their top 3 wide receivers. Now, Slayton's a burner. He's a one-trick pony. I just think Hyatt will be a better version of Darius Slayton in the NFL.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Darren Waller. Is their de facto number 1 wide receiver. Darren Waller doesn't really block for much for a tight end. He's running routes that entire game. He's basically a big wide receiver there for the Giants.
My big problem with Darren Waller is, though, and I don't disagree with you, he just quits on his teams. He quit on the Raiders twice. And like, I don't believe in that, right? Like, I hate when you got a guy that's in the NFL that's got a second chance at life like Darren Waller did, that basically quit on his organization twice. He quit on them in the playoff game versus the Cincinnati Bengals, and he quit on him again last year after, he's hurt the whole year and real minor injury that he could have came back from multiple times and just continued to sit out. He was questionable for like the last 7 weeks of the season. I just didn't want to see it. I'm not a fan of him. I do believe you, though. I think for the first 6 to 8 weeks of the season, he'll receive a ton of depth, a ton of targets over there. I'm not a believer in Darren Waller.
I'm more of a believer in Isaiah Hodgins. I mean, people think I'm crazy, but he's developed rapport. He's worked his way up through Brian Dable's systems. He was there in Buffalo. I think Hodgins actually has a chance to make an imprint on that receiving room. I could see him maybe having a 70 catch, 800-yard season, 5 touchdowns. I don't think that's out of question for Isaiah Hodgins.
Yeah, I worry coming out of college that high is just going to be too. They're going to need to use him in a gadgety sense. He's not big enough, not strong enough to take on those NFL cornerbacks. He really relied on the size and the system that they were running at Tennessee to have the incredible season that he had last year. The speed and the system in Tennessee. I think it'll take some time for that some time and some development for that really to translate to the NFL, unless they're going to really commit to scheming up touches for him, like a Deebo Samuel kind of workload there. I think Jalen Hyatt's going to take a little bit of time, I think, to get going in the NFL.
I can understand that. I don't disagree with what you're saying. I do think that he is really unpolished as a route runner, which gives him a lot of issues but I think that he'll be on the field a ton running vertical go routes to try to get the safeties. I think his routes run will be higher than most people expect it to be. I think that they'll use him in a different sets to be able to get him free releases and to be able to move the safety out of the middle of the field, which will open it up for guys like Darren Waller. So I understand that point. I just think he'll run a lot more routes than people give him credit for. And if he catches 3 balls for 91 yards, that's exactly what they need out of him, right? They need him to be that X receiver that they sadly miss every year.
Well, I was about to say, I think one thing with the Waller situation is, I think because of the organization that he's leaving, he might get a bit of a pass for whatever he did last year, because everybody just looks at not Oakland, but Vegas is like, oh, it's a dumpster fire, the dysfunction. They probably understand it. So I do think with the Giants, it is the new lease on life for him. Yeah. But he obviously cannot do the same thing with the Giants that he did with the Raiders, because then it's going to be the books out on him.
But he quit on 2 different coaches, right? I think that most people in Las Vegas would agree that Rich Bisaccia was a guy that rallied that team through 2 absolutely awful situations. He dealt with John Gruden and Henry Ruggs in 1 season and got that team to the playoffs. Yeah. He quit on him, like on that guy. Derek Carr's got to be one of the most motivating, positive quarterbacks you'll see in all football. Quit on that guy. Derek Carr's got to be one of the most motivating. Somebody's got us on in the background. I appreciate that. But let's get rolling onto surprise cuts before we get into our playoff brackets. So surprise cuts, give me like 1 or 2 cuts around the league that you think really surprised you. I don't mind starting, and I'm going to steal one of Kyle's to make him go outside of his own element. Bailey Zappi getting cut from the New England Patriots. Malik Cunningham, I thought they'd keep both on the roster. They kept neither. I thought that was interesting in New England. I think the Philadelphia Eagles should bring in Bailey Zappi to be their backup quarterback, because Marcus Mariota, we're talking about quitters. Marcus Mariota is still on the roster. The Eagles kept 3 quarterbacks. The Patriots kept 1. Let's just slide one of them over here. We'll get rid of Mariota and let Mariota go to New England. So he's one of mine. Another one I thought was super surprising, Dallas Cowboy, Jabril Cox, who was slotted to be their starting weak side linebacker to start the season, got cut. And it was almost a guarantee he would start when Overshawn got hurt and is placed on IR. The Dallas Cowboys did not see what they wanted to see out of second-year linebacker Jabril Cox, and he's no longer on the roster. So those are my 2 biggest surprise cuts. Tim, any surprise cuts that you're looking at?
First, I'm gonna comment on the Bailey Zappi thing.
Sure.
That's just Bill Belichick being the most intelligent coach in the NFL, right there. He knew both those guys would get through waivers. Stick them on the practice squad. They're still on the team. He can manipulate those rosters every single week so that those two players are protected. He brought in Matt Corral today, so he can give Matt Corral a look, see what he looks like, if he can do anything with that. Second-year quarterback who never really got a shot after he got hurt in Carolina. Yep. I feel like Bill Belichick has a better understanding of the rules of the NFL than anybody in the world does, and I think that's just him taking advantage of another rule. We've seen it before with him going after the 53 cuts without a kicker. Yeah. I believe he did that 2 years ago. They just elevated somebody from the practice squad every single week. It's just the way the rules are right now. The post-COVID rules, you can get away with stuff like that, and Yeah,
but can't those guys get signed off the practice squad? Like, can't the Eagles go out and sign Bailey Zappi off the practice squad and release Marcus Mariota without anything the Patriots can do about it?
Well, they could have claimed him off of waivers too, and they didn't. So, yeah, it's risky, but I mean, I think Bailey Zappi was horrible in preseason. I assume he was horrible in camp too. Obviously, without seeing anything from there, but the Malik Cunningham, I mean, we shouldn't even be talking about him as a quarterback on this team, and he was getting so much hype there. I just think it's just Bill Belichick just playing the rules and just kind of getting away with things that he shouldn't be able to. For my surprise cut,
Patriots fan.
For my surprise cut, I'm gonna go. When you threw Zappi at me, I kind of had to find another answer here. So I'm going with the Denver Broncos cutting Kendall Hinton. And that's just a matter of there's no healthy wide receivers in Denver right now. Jerry Jeudy, it sounds like he stayed off of IR, so he'll probably come back within the first 4 weeks. Cortland Sutton has injury history all over the place. Marvin Mims, I'm excited for him. He was a potential pick for our question earlier about the wide receiver who will have a best rookie season. But I think he'll be pretty solidly behind Jeudy and Sutton once they're healthy. And that's it. It's just those three. So Kendall Hinton, nothing to write home about, nothing great there. But they really the very slim pickings at the wide receiver position for Denver.
Yeah, I think they kept Brandon Johnson, the kid from UCF, on the roster too, which I thought Kendall Hinton would. I don't know. I'm just not a fan of what they did in Denver, but I don't like their depth chart at the wide receiver position, so I completely agree with you. Godfrey, give me a surprise cut.
Bradley Roby of the Saints. He's played for him before, right? They acquired him for multiple draft picks less than 2 years ago, and he hasn't really played that poor, so it's like, why cut the kid? Didn't make any sense to me. He was penciled in as a starting slot corner, and they generally make good draft decisions and a lot of personnel decisions in New Orleans. I mean, they're a good organization that way, but it does seem confusing to me. So, maybe he was this year's Quincy Gardner-Johnson Award winner, but they couldn't really get anything for him. So, I don't know. He's not a horrible player. Not
I keep leaving you guys the low-hanging fruit. Kyle, are you going to take the low-hanging fruit? The biggest surprise cut going into
I mean, I know one surprise for me, not even because of who the player is, but I didn't think the Cardinals were going to cut Colt McCoy because it kind of seemed like he was going to be the starting quarterback. And then they traded for Dobbs, and now it's like, I guess Dobbs is going to be starting quarterback. I mean, look, McCoy is who he is. He's a, I guess, stable veteran. He's not going to, wow you with anything, but at least he kind of knows the NFL. So, and I thought with Arizona, the plan seemingly to kind of tank, why not just roll with Colt McCoy? But, they made that decision. I think another one, probably not even that surprising, but Baltimore releasing Melvin Gordon. They signed him to that running back room where You already have questions about J.K. Dobbins, whether or not he can stay healthy. Gus Edwards seems like he gets hurt all the time. I kind of thought Melvin Gordon was going to factor into that somehow, but, they released him. So those are two definitely that I saw. And, yeah, the Colt McCoy one, I was surprised to see that name come across.
They were talking about knee stuff with him, though. But, I mean.
Knee stuff with Colt McCoy, too.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like that's indicative of the Jonathan Gannon era now. There's been a couple head-scratching moves so far, right? And it's like, okay, that's what good did that do you guys? I mean, was Isaiah Simmons, like, could he have not played it out in a team that was going nowhere? You got a 7th-round pick for him?
Yeah.
I mean, wow, good move, guys. Like, I mean, nothing says more than I want to tank when you're bringing in Dobbs. I mean, are you kidding me? Dobbs. You traded. I don't know, man. Like, that is a dumpster fire of an organization on so many levels. The only bright spot they've ever had is with Larry Fitzgerald and Kurt Warner being on the same team. Other than that, they're dumpster fire. Always have been, always will, and they're showing they're going to continue the tradition.
Hey, man, the only reason your Philadelphia Eagles made the Super Bowl last year was because Josh Dobbs got hurt. So let's give him a little bit of credit, okay?
Josh Dobbs.
What do you mean the only reason we made the Super Bowl?
Oh, because
he was the backup to in the NFC Championship game.
I got news for you.
Was he?
Brock Purdy. Yes,
was
he was. Yeah,
no, it was Josh Johnson.
Josh Johnson. Oh, never mind. Pass.
But that's fine, Tim. I got news for you. If Brock Purdy stayed healthy that entire game, the Philadelphia Eagles still win the game and almost by as many points as they did.
Nah.
I mean, everybody's saying he's looking good this preseason, but I Kyle Shanahan, for as brilliant as he can be,
they had them. We were. What do you mean they had them? The Eagles turned the ball over the first time Brock Purdy touched the ball. Are you? Come on, man. This is not still happening. 49ers. I'm done. I've lost my mind on this topic like 5 times. And I feel like I'm about to do it again. The 49ers had them. It's like, are we serious?
The 49ers.
Backup tight end to block Hassan Reddick. That's your damn fault.
Yeah, and their offensive line is definitely taking a downgrade overall from who is there as far as personnel this year. So I hope Brock Purdy does well. It's a great story, but I want to see it play out. I know he's been playing well in preseason. He's made a couple throws. I've seen him make some intelligent throws where he checked down and went to another receiver. And, I'm like, all right, that's a good read, but I got to see this more so in the preseason because NFL teams will adjust. And I want to see how he's going to adjust to the defenses that are going to approach him differently, coming in as a starting quarterback.
He got me, by the way. He got me. So we're going to go over our playoff seeding for the NFC first. 7, because you got to do the appetizer before you do the main event. And even being an Eagles fan, I fully understand that the NFC is the appetizer. The AFC playoff should be on pay-per-view. Every week you're gonna see, well, you got Herbert versus Lamar Jackson, Aaron Rodgers, Joe Burrow. Like every week you're gonna see like a marquee quarterback matchup.
Yeah, picking 7 teams from that conference was tough, man. It was tough.
Because someone has to miss the playoffs.
You're leaving out three probably playoff worthy teams that should deserve a chance. Every year you have that one team that sneaks in that nobody thinks deserves to be there. That's not happening in the AFC this year unless a different team than the Jaguars comes out of the AFC South. Anyway, we'll go to the NFC first.
So since you brought that up and you're factual, I want you to start. Give me your 7 through 1. Let me know how they finish. And Tim, starts off in the NFC. You'll go last on the AFC.
All right. You want me to start at 7?
Yeah, 7 through 1.
All right. I'm going to start with 7. The Seattle Seahawks coming in second place in that NFC West. 6th place, I have the Detroit Lions. Fifth place. This is going to be a little triggering for Eugene, but I'm going with the Eagles there in the 5th seed. First wild card spot, but I'm giving the NFC East to, once again, to a different team this year. Saints get that 4th spot, winning the NFC South. I have the Packers actually winning the NFC North. I was looking at odds on DraftKings when I was doing this, and I was shocked to see that the Packers actually have lower odds to win the division than the Bears do. I like this team. I think they have a really good defense. I think if Jordan Love is passable and maybe even above passable, I think this could be a really good team here in Green Bay. I got our beloved Dallas Cowboys, America's team, as the 2nd seed, winning the NFC East. And then I have the aforementioned San Francisco 49ers winning the West.
Okay. Well,
I'm going to walk away for that. I heard him say the Philadelphia Eagles in the 5th seed. I don't walk away from that. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah,
I thought it's interesting. I think the NFC North is the most interesting. I'm going to have I have some craziness, but like I'm normally spot on with my craziness. It's my real takes that take a bath. That's too terrible, but my craziness normally works. So I'm going to give you my NFC 7 through 1 now, because my fantasy draft's about to start. So you guys got to help me with that. Everybody here in the chat, I have pick 2. Justin Jefferson's going 1. I'm going CMC. Talk me out of it. Try to do it, but let's go 7 through 1 in the NFC. My quarterbacks list will be released tomorrow, just FYI. Pulling up my show topics. Here we go. Number 7, and you just talked about it. You have them winning the division. I have them 7th. I really do. I have the Green Bay Packers as our last wild card in the NFC. I think their defense at all 3 levels is very good. They can rush the passer. They can stop the run. They have 2 first-round draft picks interior on their as their nose tackle and as their inside linebacker. Their secondary features Jair Alexander. I like the Packers, what they're doing. I think that they're going to play defense and run the football with thunder and lightning, Aaron Jones, and you have AJ clock killing AJ Dillon. I like the Packers, number 7. You guys can't hear that, right? Okay, good. I apologize. I just drafted my number 1 pick, CMC. I'm back. Number 6 seed, I have the Seattle Seahawks finishing 2nd in the AFC West, or the NFC West. I think Seattle is going to be improved. I think they finished one game behind the San Francisco 49ers. I think that division's very close. Tim's got San Fran 1. He's got Seattle 6. I'm going to tell you something right now. Seattle keeps that division very close, and San Fran will not be as good as you think they will be. I'll get into that, though. Number 5, I have the Dallas Cowboys. I think the Dallas Cowboys win 11 games. They go 11-6, and they finish 2nd in the NFC East. I think they're a very good overall team. Look at Tim posting the odds. I love it. I got the Dallas Cowboys, number 5. Number 4, I got the Carolina Panthers winning the NFC South. Bryce Young, give me Frank Wright, Adam Thielen, Jonathan Mingo. Be prepared. Another young wide receiver down there. Number 3, I have the Chicago Bears winning the NFC North. That's right. No Detroit Lions. No Minnesota. I think the Minnesota Vikings are going to stink this year, but I'll get into that. Give me the Detroit Lions. The Chicago Bears finishing 3rd. Justin Fields takes the Jalen Hurts leap this year, adding DJ Moore, adding a strong right tackle in the draft. I like the Chicago Bears at number 3. Number 2, I have the San Francisco 49ers. I think the 49ers have a worse record than the Dallas Cowboys. I think they finished 10-7. But because of the 2 weaker divisions, I think that they barely squeak out past the Seattle Seahawks, and they finished at the number 2 seed. And number 1 at 12-5, and I switched it from 11-6. At 12-5, I have the Philadelphia Eagles. I had them 11-6. I swapped the Buffalo game. I think Buffalo becomes a dumpster fire this year. I don't want to lead too far in. That's my 7. That's not a homer pick. Stop it. But I'm kidding. Well, we'll see. We'll see Homer pick. We'll see your AFC to see if you have New England sneaking in there.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Kyle, take it from here. This is your 7.
All right. So I will say both of my 7 seeds might be a little crazy, but in the NFC I have the Bears.
That's what the 7 seats are for, man.
Get
a little crazy with them. Exactly.
That's what I use it for. So the Bears I have coming 7th. I haven't gotten the last wild card. I think, kind of like you said, Gene, I'm a big believer in the Justin Fields bump this year. I like what they do with the offensive line, bringing DJ Moore. So I think the Bears find a way to get that 7th seed. 6th seed, I have the Seahawks. I also agree. I think they push the Niners in that division. You know, Geno Smith continues what he did last year, resurrecting his career. JSN added to the wide receiver group. Only thing that worries me is their run defense and everything. That was a struggle last year. But, you know, we'll see how that goes with them. 5 seed, I have the Cowboys because, like you said, the Cowboys always get 10, 11 wins. We know how this goes, and then we deal with their issues in the playoffs when January rolls around. The NFC South winner will be the 4 seed. I have the Saints, but I want to give you credit with the Carolina pick because I went back and forth because I think Carolina is going to be a major player in that division as well. But I'm going to go with the Saints. I'm going to put some faith in Derek Carr with Olave, and they find a way to get it done. The NFC North, I convinced myself of like all of the teams winning the division. I landed on Minnesota. I know that they're going to take a step back from last year, but I think they're good enough to win the division with the Bears pushing them. So no Detroit, no Green Bay for me, but I think Minnesota finds a way to get it done. Don't like their running back room either, but I'm just assuming they'll turn more into a passing team. 2nd seed, I have the Niners winning the NFC West, and the Eagles are going to win the NFC East and be the number 1 seed in the NFC playoffs.
That's a Patriots fan. No Homer there.
That's a Homer pick.
If I love you, bro.
I think it's interesting so far. We've had 3 guys go. The Godfrey, of course, has to go still. 3 different NFC North winners. And none of them are the actual favorite, the betting favorite to win the NFC North.
Which is Minnesota.
Mm-hmm. Isn't it Detroit right now?
It's Detroit?
Yeah,
you picked Minnesota or did you pick Detroit?
I picked Green Bay.
I picked Chicago. Didn't you?
Minnesota.
Oh, you picked Minnesota. I apologize.
No,
my apologies. Godfrey, give us your NFC teams.
All right. Are we going 7-1 or 1-7? We're going 7-1 to 7.
7-1.
7-1.
Pay attention, Godfrey.
Yeah. So you know, our 7th team, I'm gonna go with a surprise pick here. I think the Commanders can squeak into the playoffs. So I think they got a good D-line. I think Sam Howell is going to be better than people think. They got talent in that receiver room, and I think Eric Bieniemy is going to help them put a lot of that offense together. That's been kind of a broken puzzle, if you will, for many years. Okay, I think he's going to bring some discipline to that squad and some a standard to be held to. It's stability from a coach on the offensive side of the ball they haven't had in a long time in Washington. As an Eagles fan, I hate to say that, but 7th seed, so kind of see that going on. 6, I'm gonna, they're probably gonna surprise some people here.
Wait, who did you have 7 again?
Commanders.
You just picked them under 6.5 wins last week.
I know, man, but listen, we can change minds, man. That's why you don't lay money.
I didn't even think that was real. I read the chat.
Yeah, listen. I've been watching a lot of stuff on them, and I think they got a shot.
Under 6.5 last week.
Yep, I'm changing my mind on these guys.
He's a new man this week.
He's a new man.
Yeah.
You don't mean the Cowboys make the playoffs?
No, I have them making the playoffs.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I definitely have them making the playoffs. I think the NFC North is going to be something I'm going to hit later on, but I don't know if it's going to be as dominant as people think. But I got the Lions squeaking in at 6. I don't think they're going to win that division, but I do think they're going to be better, and I think that they'll make the playoffs as the 6th seed. So I think they're still the darlings, but I still need to see them take that next step. And I like some stuff they're doing, but they do have some instability in that receiver room, so to speak. especially with the suspension of their number 12 pick from 2 years ago, injuries, etc. So I see them squeaking in at 6. All right. I see, the next team. So we got our 5th seed, and I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys. I do see the Cowboys making the playoffs. I just don't think that. I think they've hit their ceiling, and I think them picking up Trey Lance is them making up a backup plan, hoping they develop it, because if you look at Sports Track, they got it out from Dak Prescott in 2024, so they can get out from that contract. He's not the same quarterback. He doesn't have the same athletic ability he used to have pre-injury. That was a gruesome injury. I don't wish it on anyone, but he's lost his step, and he did lead the league in interceptions last year. So, we know Amari Cooper has made his comments about how he feels about him as a quarterback. So I'm going to stick with Amari on this one. So we got them at number 5. So now we're going to go into these division winners, and this is going to be shocking to some people. I'm going to have a couple of shocking ones here, guys. I'm not taking the easy ones. I am not taking the low-hanging fruit. So number 4, I'm going to have the Seattle Seahawks winning the division. Okay.
So wait, hold on. I didn't hear the San Francisco 49ers as a wild card team. You think they just don't even make the playoffs, but you have the Commanders making the – Godfrey, are you doing anything at home?
A few huffs here or there. Listen, man, I have my reason behind it. I'm not just picking it out. Listen, I can tell you why I don't think the 49ers make it. I think that when you have a football team like Kyle Shanahan, some people are going to ignore the non-sexy parts of the team. McGlinchey wasn't really like a household name, but he was a good tackle they haven't replaced. The offensive line in a run zone scheme, especially when it uses motion, is very important and integral to offense that Kyle Shanahan runs. We could all agree there, right? It's something his dad taught him, from the schemes that he ran in Denver and so on. And I don't really think that they're going to have that 49er luck. I think there's been a lot of missteps by them in the draft and signings. And look at Trey Lance. They traded up to get this guy, and now they're trading him. And I think they've been getting lucky a lot there. And I think they got very thin depth. We got a guy coaching his team that thinks that he can pseudo turn Sam Darnold into Steve Young. So that I'll just leave that there. So yeah, I see him not making the playoffs, and I see the Seattle Seahawks busting their ass. That's pretty much where I'm going with that. Yeah.
Okay.
Listen, man, this isn't for the week, man. We're making hot takes here. All right, hot pancakes. All right.
Oh man.
Just for the record, the Niners and the Chiefs, they have the same odds not to make the playoffs at plus 360. So
maybe I'll throw $10 on that.
Maybe you will. And make some money. Go for it.
Real quick, before you continue, I at least want to read the first. I got Tim on here. I want to read the first round of this fantasy draft, how it went. And I want you to kind of give your honest reaction. Jettas went 1, C-Mac 2, Eckler 3, Cheetah 4, Chase 5, Saquon 6, Kelsey 7, Amon-Ra St. Brown 8, Bijan 9, Chubb 10, Pollard 11, and Derrick Henry 12, missing Cooper Kupp. Now he went in the first pick of the second round, but it's pretty interesting. Pretty interesting first round so far.
Yeah, that could be the news about the setback he apparently suffered today. McVay saying he's still day to day, but you got a bad feeling about that. A 30-year-old wide receiver on one of the worst offenses in the NFC, and he's already suffered 2 injuries in the preseason. It's bad vibes there for Cooper Kupp. I can see not taking him there. I like Amon-Ra St. Brown. I could take him over Cooper Kupp for sure. Yeah, there's that draft was going well for about like 1 pick, and then that second pick was trash. Absolute trash.
You don't like C-Mac too?
No, I'm just kidding, man. I love C-Mac. I just traded for him in a dynasty league. I traded my entire 2024 draft for him. So I'm in on C-Mac, absolutely.
All right, well, I'm up in 5 picks, so let's pause for a minute. We got time. Garrett Wilson went after Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, A.J. Brown, CeeDee Lamb, a run on wide receivers like no other. Right now, the best available on my board is different than ESPN's. I use Walter picks. Best available on my board says Calvin Ridley, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Devonta Smith, Mark Andrews, Jalen Waddle. ESPN has Jacobs, Mixon, Waddle, Metcalf, Higgins, Olave, Devontae Smith, Patrick Mahomes. We'll see what ends up playing out. Olave just went. So, I mean, there's a very seasoned group of fantasy players here. They don't look at the rankings very, very much. They're drafting what they think is going to happen. Good group of guys. Oh, wow. And bang, bang. Jacobs and Mixon went, which is great because I didn't want either one. Yeah. And I'm on the clock next. What's your thoughts? Who are you looking at here? Knowing I have CMC already, I might reach out and grab my second RB here, or do I try to get him around the wraparound, try to get Gibbs around the wraparound and take one of these top receivers? Devonta Smith is there, Jalen Waddle, DK Metcalf.
Yep, those are my picks are Waddle or Devonta Smith. I love both of them. They are absolutely the direction I would go, and I'd be psyched to have a start of Christian McCaffrey and one of those wide receivers.
Well, Mahomes just went, so you said, what do you say, Waddle? I like Devonta Smith. You like Waddle better than Smith?
I like Waddle a little bit more, but I'm certainly not going to fight you on Waddle versus Devonta Smith. They're both great players.
All right, so what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to overdraft Gibbs because I want him on the back end, knowing that the guy in front next to me is not going to go.
Yeah, that's true. He won't go down.
Two wide receivers.
Good point.
So I can take the one on the back end.
There you go.
All right, I went Jahmyr Gibbs. We'll see what he does. We'll get back to Godfrey's rankings. Now, if he goes Waddle, Devonta Smith, he went Devonta Smith quick. He knew he was doing that. I don't want to go 3 running backs to 3 wide receiver league. He went hurt. Okay, so I'm getting Waddle here, and I'm good with that. I like the setup. I got Gibbs, Waddle, and I like it. I'm good. Let's get back. I got a lot of picks to go. Chubb went round 1, yes. All right, so you're at your top 3, Godfrey. Give us your top 3 after your blasphemous take about the 49ers, which, by the way, I'm here for. If they don't make the playoffs, I'll be so happy. But go ahead.
By the way, Nick Bosa is still not in camp, so that's big flat tire of the offense. There ain't no spare tire you got in the trunk to replace Nick Bosa. So they better get that right, because if they don't, that really hurts their line. But New Orleans Saints, I got them winning in division. I think Derek Carr is an extreme upgrade for him. I think they have good depth there. I think they made some good picks. I think it's a soft division. I think the Panthers will be interesting, but I think the Saints, with veteran leadership at quarterback, are going to win that division. So I got the Bears winning the NFC North and getting the 2nd seed. I think that DJ Moore and Justin Fields are like best buds. They've been developing the chemistry, and I think Justin Fields is going to take that Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen type of leap this year. A lot of people are doubting that he could pass. I hear a lot of people say things like, "Oh, the kid can't run the rock. The kid can't throw the rock." I think you're going to be surprised by what he's going to show you.
Guys didn't watch college football. Anybody said Justin Fields can't throw the ball, didn't watch college football. You want to make an argument about Bears defense? Matthew Padnod said that. I'm going to tell you something right now. Tremaine Edmonds is going to be a top linebacker in football this year. That guy was built out of a linebacker factory and was hidden in Buffalo. Eberflus turned Darius Leonard into one of the top linebackers in football. He's now the head coach over Chicago. I'm telling you, watch out for Tremaine Edmonds being one of the most improved players this year.
Yeah. And I hate to do this because you might call it a homer pick, but Patriots fans probably know what this feels like. I'm going with the Eagles as the number 1 seed, and I do got 12 wins. You know, they got a pretty deep team. They're making depth level adds on top of an already solid roster. The NFC isn't the AFC, and I think that they can compete with pretty much anybody in the NFL, being in the softer conference of the two. I just don't see it. As long as Jalen Hurts is healthy, I just don't see how they're not going to get 12 wins on the low side, maybe 11. But I think they're going to break the stat that I brought up myself and the curse that everybody's brought up. And I think they're going to be the first team in the NFC East to win the division 2 years in a row in a long time.
I like it. Kyle, give me your 7.
Oh, the AFC?
NFC.
We heard his.
Yeah, I did mine.
Oh, my bad. Should I go to you first? Okay. Let's move to the AFC then.
That's why you got to focus on drafting, man. You can't multitask with fantasy draft.
I'm a good multitasker. Relax. All right, I'm kidding. Let's move to the AFC. let's move to the AFC. We'll go in inverse order. So Tim went first in the NFC. So I'm guessing Kyle. Did I go second or Kyle goes?
You went second. I went third.
So Godfrey, give us your AFC.
Woo! Right back in the fryer, baby. The AFC, this is probably one, like Tim said, man, this is difficult. I mean, there's so many contenders in this league. I don't know what to do. I really don't. I'm going to go with my 7th seed as the Los Angeles Chargers, not for lack of talent, but for Brandon Staley being their coach. I mean, listen, this guy has not shown me that he could take advantage of a weakness or a good situation or play from ahead. I mean, if you watch the Los Angeles Chargers, they've always give the Chiefs a run for their money. 2 years ago, there was 2 times where they had him in a position to beat him, and they just completely blew the game. But I do think Kellen Moore is their next coach in waiting. He's going to make the offense vertical, and it's going to make up for mistakes that Brandon Staley might be the head of. I'm not really impressed with Brandon Staley as a coach, but I do think that they're going to get there at 7. So I got them as my 7th seed. I just think I expect huge things from Justin Herbert this year in a Kellen Moore offense. I think he's going to take the next step, and he's going to really release the hound, so to speak. So number 6, I'm going with the Denver Broncos. I think Sean Payton was the exact hire that they needed. They needed a guy that could come in and look at Russell Wilson and tap his finger, be like, I got a ring too, buddy. Take a seat, listen, get your notepad. Your PR team, get them the fuck out. So, I think I'm huge on Javonte Williams having a comeback year this year. He's a running back in fantasy. I think you should target in the 4th round. If you can get him 5th round later, I think that he's healthier than people think. I think Sean Payton running backs do well. And I think Javonte Williams is going – I think, in my opinion, he could be a league winner for you this year. Okay? And they got Cortland Sutton, who I know everybody's talking about Jerry Jeudy. I like your pick earlier. I was talking about Tim and Cortland Sutton. I think he's got wide receiver 1 upside. He's been having a great camp, and I'm going to tell you right now, I've seen him perform with garbage quarterbacks. I think that Sean Payton he's the perfect coach to be there and take advantage of talent on the offensive side of the ball. And I just see, we're going to get 3 playoff teams. I mean, the Chiefs are going to be in my top 7. I mean, come on, I got hot takes, but it ain't that hot. So I'm just going to say, you're going to get two wild card teams out of the AFC West. There's no doubt about it in my mind. And I feel safe saying that. I'm just going to go division by division. I know this is people thought I was crazy about this. I think you got some up and comers, but somebody in the AFC is going to have to get bumped out. That's what makes it so tough, right? So I see the Titans winning this division. I know people say, hey, how can you count out the Jags? If you really pull back and look at the Jags last season, they really had to have a hell of a run at the end of the year. Dougie P is he's always going to hold a place in my heart as the Eagles fan. Always. Good coach, good motivator, exactly what that organization needed. But after the Super Bowl, not necessarily his fault entirely, he got off to some slow starts 2 years in a row, and he got into the playoffs. I don't think you can afford that kind of approach in this AFC. You really, really can't. So I see the Titans winning that division. I kind of skipped ahead there, so please forgive me. But I'm going to go to my 5th team that I see making the playoffs. And, man, I'm going to give you guys a surprise here. I mean, this is so tough. I can't wait to hear you guys do it. There's so many teams that can do this.
It's almost like you got to prepare for the show.
Dude, I could have prepared 9 times over, and it would have looked like Albert Einstein's, scratch board for theory relativity. I mean, it's just, I'm sorry, man. The AFC ranking is like, you could just keep going and going. So I'm going to pick them from the AFC North. I'm going to say, my number 5 seed, I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers as a surprise playoff team this year coming out of the AFC North. I think they upgraded the offensive line. I think that the defense is going to have TJ Watt at full tilt, a healthy Minkah Fitzpatrick. Mike Tomlin is a hell of a coach. And Kenny Pickett's going to play better than people think. George Pickens is going to take a step up this year. Najee Harris is going to look a lot better. I'm going to take him as my 5th seed. My 4th seed, and this is where it gets tough for me, right? Because we got all these teams in the north and the east of the AFC, and it's just like, what do we do here? What do we do, right? So my 5th seed is going to be I already did 5. Forgive me, guys. My 4th seed is going to be.
You gave me the 4 already. Go to 3.
No, I didn't give you 4.
Yes, you did. You gave us division.
Well, I gave you the Titans. Titans is 4. You're right. Thank you for helping me out there. I apologize. Titans is going to be my 4. So we now got to pick some more division winners, right? So listen, 3rd, you're going to have the Chiefs are going to be my number 1. You guys know that. I'm sorry. I'm just not going to do that. But, 3 and 2, the AFC East is tough, man. I don't know who gets out of there, but I'm going to go with the winner of the AFC North to be my 3. It's going to be the Cincinnati Bengals. All right. I just think they got the gravitas there. They got Joe Mixon re-signed. Burrow is going to be healthy. I see them as being my 3rd. Okay. The AFC East, man, the Jets have been impressing me. I've been buying into some of this Hard Knocks hype, and I definitely think it's so tough, man. The Patriots, no. The Dolphins, I think they'll have some tumultuous things at quarterback. I do believe the Bills are in trouble. So I'm going to go with the Jets to be the number 2 seed, and I think they're going to win this division. I think it's going to happen for them, and this is going to culminate into a playoff run for them. The number 1 seed is going to be my Kansas City Chiefs. Not mine. I don't mean to say that, but the Kansas City Chiefs. And listen, Andy Reid is a model of consistency. His coaching program just works on and on and on. And when you got Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback, it's a tough division. But listen, they pulled it off last year. Unfortunately, against my Eagles, they're my number 1 seed.
All righty. So me then Kyle, or Kyle then me?
It'll be me then Eugene.
All right, go ahead, brother.
All right, so my 7 might have a couple of surprises. I'm going to say that right now. So the 7
I feel like
seed,
every AFC pick is going to have some. There has to be a surprise.
Yes. Well, my 7 seed, I think the Patriots find a way to get in. Yes, I guess does that count as a homer pick? I didn't pick the division.
Not at all.
Okay, so yeah,
you have them sneaking in. That's not a homer pick.
Yeah, I think they navigate away and they get in there. I like the defense. I think the offense is going to be much improved this year. Love the addition of Zeke with Ramondre Stevenson. So I got them at 7. 6, I've got Baltimore. They will probably have a better passing attack. I still have my questions about Lamar Jackson throwing outside the numbers and everything like that. How does that work with the OBJ? But I agree. Kind of what we talked about earlier with Zay Flowers. I think he's going to be a good addition to them. And then the defense, I have questions about them as well because I think you can throw on that defense and in that division where you're dealing with Watson, Pickett, Burrow. That's probably the biggest reason why I have them not even coming close to winning the division. Because at 5, I actually have Cleveland making it. I'm high on Deshaun Watson this year. I think he turns it back to the Houston Texans, Deshaun Watson. And because of that, they've lacked some quarterback play the past couple of seasons. But when Deshaun Watson was at his best, he was one of the top quarterbacks in the league. And I think we start to see that. So I think because of that, Cleveland gets the 5th seed. And those are my 3 wild cards. So then 4th seed, I think is going to be the AFC South. It's probably the weakest division out of the 4. I have Jacksonville making it, but I do agree that Tennessee is going to push them very hard in that division. But I just like Calvin Ridley coming in. I think he's going to unlock some things for Trevor Lawrence. So I got Jacksonville there. 3 seed. I have the Dolphins winning the AFC East. I mean, we already know about their offense. A lot of that hinges upon Tua's health, of course. So I'm assuming that Tua gets through the season. I mean, defensively, they brought in – didn't they bring in Vic Fangio to run the defense? To be honest with you, as a Patriots fan, the Dolphins are the team that scares me the most in that division.
So they should scare you every year, though.
I mean, yeah, the Dolphins usually play the Patriots tough, but yeah, the Waddle, Hill, and everything. So yeah, I got the Dolphins winning the AFC East. That's a 3 seed. And then 1 and 2, I got Cincinnati at 2, Kansas City at 1, because I'm not going to pick against Joe Burrow probably ever. And same thing goes with Patrick Mahomes with Kansas City.
All right, while I'm on the clock, I'm going to let you guys know where I just did. I just took T.J. Hawkinson in the 4th round. I want to get I want to get a tight end, and I know that he'll be thrown to a ton. The
Mhm.
wraparound's happening right now. Godwin went. I need a wide receiver. I wanted to go Godwin or Deontay Johnson on the back half. All the top quarterbacks have went. Deontay Johnson is the top receiver on the board right now. Mike Williams right behind him. Hollywood Brown. I don't like a lot of these guys here. I'm kind of looking at Mike Evans. What's your thoughts on Deontay Johnson?
I'm a fan of Deontay Johnson. I think I put it in the chat there. The Steelers basically won the preseason here. They have just been dominating everything. They're one of the few teams that really committed to playing their starters. But we saw really great things from Kenny Pickett. We saw great things from Deontay and from George Pickens, and Najee Harris is running the ball well. We've heard good reports about Jalen Warren. I couldn't remember the name. Jalen Warren as the backup running back there. Things are starting to feel good with the Steelers. They upgraded their offensive line. And one thing is going to happen this year. If I will put money on it, lots of money on it, that Deontay Johnson will go over his touchdown total from last year, which was 0. He will get one. He will get one touchdown.
I took Deontay Johnson. I think it's Hawkinson. I have Hawkinson right now. Currently, I have Jahmyr Gibbs and McCaffrey, Waddle, and Deontay Johnson with Hawkinson.
Yep. Yeah.
Is Javonte Williams still out there?
Yeah, but it's a 3 wide receiver with a flex league. You cannot allow wide receivers to fall right now because they're going to get eaten up in this draft.
I could give you a sleeper wide receiver that I think that a lot of people aren't paying attention to.
Who's that? Just for fun.
Romeo Doubs. Okay.
Okay. We'll talk about
that. He's Christian Watson's the sexy pick, but I'm telling you, Romeo Doubs is going to be your de facto number 1 in Green Bay. I'm telling you, mark it down here. You can fry me if I'm wrong, but that's going to be your most consistent receiver in Green Bay.
Well, I am. I'll give you my 7 in the AFC now. I have plenty of time because I'm on the number 2 wraparound at this point. We're done it. So my number 7 is. I agreed. Godfrey had it. I agreed with this. I have the Los Angeles Superchargers. I think that Brandon Staley will get in his own way. I think the division's loaded. I think he's going to lose games at Denver. I think he'll lose at Kansas City. I think they end up finishing 10-7, and they end up stealing that number 7 seed. Number 6, I have the fastest team in football, the track team. Give me the Miami Dolphins. Tua stays healthy just for half the season. They should have enough wins to make the playoffs. That team's very good. Tua stays healthy the full season. They'll be fighting for that AFC East division. My number 5 is the Cleveland Browns. Yeah, I said it. Deshaun Watson comes back to form, and I like their defense. Their offensive line is very good. The only question I have with this team is, can their cornerbacks stay off the friggin' injury list? They have secondary problems with being injured, but I like the Cleveland Browns. I think they'll run the ball with Nick Chubb, Amari Cooper. I'm a fan of what Deshaun Watson can do on the field. Hate him as a human being, but a fan of what he can do on the field. Give me the Browns at 5. By the way, I have the Steelers at 8, just missing the playoffs, to be clear. And I have the Ravens finishing last place in that division. Now, me and Tim are going to not be on the same page there, and I understand that. My number 4 is the Cincinnati Bengals. Wait, what? 4 Bengals? Yes, I said it. That division, the black and blue division, is going to be bloody this year. Everyone's going to beat everyone. I think they all finish within 2 games of each other. So I got the Bengals 4, not because they're the 4th best team in the AFC, but because they play in that god-awful. That's 6 tough games versus 6 above-average defenses. So give me the Bengals at 4. And my number 3, playing in the worst division in football, probably the Jacksonville Jaguars. Yeah, I hear you with Tennessee. I understand the pick of Tennessee being in there. I just think Doug E.P., I think the addition of Calvin Ridley, who I think has a great year this year, I think he breaks out again for a second time. He did his second year in Atlanta. I think he does it here. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars are just too much, and they end up winning the division and finishing with 11 wins. My number 2. I've been super high on him. It sounds like you guys are too. Hard Knocks didn't sell me on them. I was on them before then. Give me the New York Football Jets. Aaron Rodgers, Robert Saleh, Quinnen Williams, the 1-2 combination of Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook, incredible. I think Garrett Wilson finishes as wide receiver 2 this year in fantasy football. Yeah, I said it, not as a wide receiver 2, as wide receiver 2. Garrett Wilson is going to be incredible this year and break out for that team. I love the way Aaron Rodgers spins the football, and I love Robert Saleh as a head coach. And number 1, I have the most consistent team in football with the second greatest coach in the history of football. Give me the Kansas City Chiefs, Andy Reid, Pat Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and a good offensive line. That's kind of what they need, right? So I'll take the Chiefs at 1. Tim, it's on to you, brother.
Gene, can you run through that 7 real quick?
Yeah, I had the Chargers 7, Dolphins 6, Browns 5, Bengals 4, Jags 3, Jets 2, Chiefs 1.
If I'm not mistaken, I don't think anybody has picked the Bills yet.
I did not. I think the Buffalo Bills are going to have a huge setback this year. I think there's locker room issues. I know there's issues connection between Allen and Diggs. I don't like that. When you have those problems inside the locker room, I don't like their head coach. I think McDermott's over his head. I think you lost Dable, who was the best offensive mind in the building. They haven't replaced him. Ken Dorsey's been basically a pushover for Josh Allen. I'm not a fan, right? So I think that they finish in the cellar in the AFCs. I think they finish below the New England Patriots, if I'm being honest.
It's intriguing. All right, I will start it off with my number 7. Probably the only real shocking team to make the playoffs here. I think my other 6 teams are pretty close to being locks to make it in. But I have the Broncos earning that 7th seed out of the AFC West. You said the AFC North is the black and blue division. There's 3 black and blue divisions this year. It's the North, it's the East, and it's the West. All 3 of those divisions are going to be knocking each other out. So I'm focusing a lot on defense this year with the AFC. There are some really good defensive teams, and I think the Broncos are definitely one of them. High-end defense, and then you bring in Sean Payton to make the offense get back to where it needs to be with Russell Wilson. I love Javonte Williams. They're bringing that guy back. They're getting that guy back. Good group of wide receivers. Thin group, but the top 2 are really good. And we just need Russell Wilson to, like one of you guys was saying, get slapped around and get put back in his place with Sean Payton there. Yeah. Number 6, I'm going with the Jetropolitans. I have them finishing 2nd in the AFC East. And if you do the math on that, that means I only have one other AFC East team, which we'll get to a little bit later. Yeah, Jets, another really, really great defense, a defensive-minded first team that made some really big, important, necessary upgrades on offense this year. Number 5, I have the Bengals. I have the Bengals getting a wild card slot this year. And again, I have already said I'm high on the Ravens. I got the Ravens winning the division in the AFC North. So I got the Bengals coming in 5th there. Curious to see how Joe Burrow looks to start off the year coming off of this injury. We didn't see him basically at all in training camp. I think it was the first day of camp he got hurt. 4th seed, I'm going to be the one. I'm going to do it. I'm sorry. I'm going to take the Bills. I know it's a hot take on this podcast, I guess, to say that the Bills are going to make the playoffs. But, hey, here I am as the 4th seed, not even as the top 2 seed that most people would probably say they're going to be this year. Like I said, another black and blue division. I think that the AFC North, the AFC East, is going to be another black and blue division. Don't have my Patriots making it. No homer pick there. I think it's going to be tight. I think it's going to be close in the AFC East, and that's why I have the Bills down in the 4th seed. 3rd seed, I'm giving it to the Jaguars. I honestly don't really doubt their ability to make the playoffs here. Really good team. Not much more to say there. The only division that's not up to snuff with the rest of the AFC.
It's fair.
2 seed, I have the Chiefs. I have the Chiefs taking a little bit of a step back this year. I'm really worried about this Chris Jones holdout. We mentioned the Nick Bosa holdout earlier. That one sounds a little bit more like he's going to be back at the start of the season. Chris Jones sounds like he's bunkered down and will not touch a football field until he gets a new contract. He's basically said, I can afford it. I don't need to touch that football field until I take my game checks, whatever. Worried about that defense a little bit. Worried about the lack of receivers, as always. What if Travis Kelce takes a step back, starts to show his age a little bit? They still have Patrick Mahomes, obviously. I don't think Garrett Bieniemy's any good, but maybe I'm wrong about that, and maybe he did have a hand in how great the offense has been the past couple of years. I think it's all Andy, but hey, it's another player that they've lost. And then my number one seed is the Ravens. I'm all in on the Ravens. I love this team. Todd Monken, really great, bringing in that offensive system. I think they're going to finally let Lamar Jackson throw the football, which you said earlier with Justin Fields. If you watch Lamar Jackson's college tape, the guy threw a football really well, and he just hasn't been able to have the opportunity with the caveman offense they were running there for so long. J.K. Dobbins healthy. I love Zay Flowers. I like the signing of Odell Beckham. I think he's obviously over the hill. Not what he was with the New York Giants, but as a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 on that team, if Rashad Bateman can play like a first-round pick, I really like that squad, and I love their tight ends. Obviously, Mark Andrews is great, but Isaiah Likely and Charlie Kolar, too, are two of my favorites from last year's drafts. That Kolar was hurt all of last year, and he really stepped up, made some big plays in the preseason. It'll be tough for him to get on the field, but I'm excited for Charlie Kolar to eventually get an opportunity at the NFL level. So that's my 7. No Dolphins in there, no Chargers, no Browns, no Steelers. Even the Patriots, all of those teams I think are going to be in the hunt in the last couple of weeks of the season. And it's just going to come down to tiebreakers. It's going to come down to the last couple of weeks, who's winning, who's losing. It's going to be a slugfest in the AFC.
Well, 2 things right now. Number 1, I'm about to be on the clock for my wraparound. Mike Williams, Terry McLaurin, Marquise Hollywood Brown still there, Christian Kirk, Tyler Lockett, Brandon Ayuk. Quarterback's very light, right? Deshaun Watson, Daniel Jones, Dak Prescott. I've already made the decision. I kind of got to wait on quarterback. Mike Williams just went off the board.
I take D. Watson.
You would take Deshaun Watson?
Absolutely. That's the back end of the top 10 quarterbacks, I think, in fantasy this year.
I think I could still get Rodgers and Tua. I believe that. And I don't think I like the way Deshaun Watson spins the football, if I'm being honest with you. But I'm going to talk about Tim's picks in a minute. Let's get into my fantasy team. I'm kidding. But McLaurin, Hollywood, I like McLaurin here. I really do. I think Scary Terry is the move. I think that Sam Howell's looked good in preseason. He definitely throws the ball well. The only thing concerning about McLaurin is the ankle injury, but that's 1 game. If he misses the game, they're saying he's probably going to play week 1. What's your thoughts on McLaurin?
I have not drafted him, will not draft him. I don't have any real interest in Terry McLaurin.
Okay.
I say in the late round, when I watch Sam Howell play, he locks on to his number 1 receiver. Is that good for
don't have to worry about it.
Games?
Terry McLaurin just went.
Well,
I don't want to go to Sean Watson here. I definitely don't want to go quarterback here. On the second half, I can. The guy on the wraparound has a quarterback already. Ayuk, my app says Hollywood. I'm not touching anyone in Arizona. I don't want Christian Kirk. I don't want Drake London. I don't want Michael Pittman. Is Brandon Ayuk really the move here?
I'm a Brandon Ayuk fan. I like him. It kind of stinks pairing him up with Christian McCaffrey, and you get those 2 Niners.
I know.
But I do like Brandon Ayuk. I have him as a top 24 wide receiver this year.
I really like Gabe Davis, and his ADP is so high, and I could probably get him on the I don't know if I want to do this, right? I don't know
what about my guy Cortland Sutton? Are you a buyer or are you a believer?
No, I'm not a buyer. Pacheco, Dobbins, Dalvin, Cook, Montgomery, hate all of them. Well, I hate all of them, but I don't want to pair Ayuk up. I really don't. Sutton's there. You really think Sutton's the guy? If I make this move, I'm going to punch you in the face if he doesn't do well.
I think he is. I mean, I'm just going based on past performance, training camp reports.
I went with Cortland Sutton. I did it. I did it for you, Godfrey, just for you. Now, I have the wrap around here. Now, my question would be, do you go Deshaun Watson here? Like, I like Aaron Rodgers. I like Tua. I like both of them as fantasy quarterbacks. Do you think Deshaun Watson is that much higher than either one of those guys, even if he's higher at all?
Well, I mean, you mentioned the worries about Tua's health. Do you think if he plays half the season, Watson's probably more durable? I mean, you know how I feel about Aaron Rodgers, so I'm not gonna go with that. I would go with Watson. But that's just me.
Tim, what you think?
Well, sorry, it was Watson or Tua you're choosing between?
Well, no, I'm saying, do I go with Watson or do I wait on Rodgers and Tua?
No, I'm a Watson guy. I'm a fan of him. I really he obviously needs to turn things around this year and needs to look much better than he did at the end of last year. I'm hoping that with a full year put behind him with what happened, another full year behind him there, and a full offseason in training camp with this team, no, coming back dry. He was out for the year before that suspension as well. There's a lot of things that were going against him last year when he was so horrible with that team. So I'm liking Deshaun Watson this year.
I think the receiver core is deeper than people realize. Cedric Tillman, I think, is
I
amazing.
like Elijah Moore too.
Yeah, and Elijah Moore. I forgot about Cedric Tillman, Elijah Moore, Donovan Peoples-Jones, your number 4. Yep. You got Amari Cooper, who I think is actually vastly underrated. It's just not a sexy pick, but I think he had a really good season last year, and I think
the Browns are going to pound it out, right?
Oh yeah.
I went with Watson. I think the Browns are going to run the rock a lot, though, and I think that takes away from your fantasy value. I went with Watson because I don't want to risk going a full 12-team league both ways and seeing Tua and Rodgers leave in between there. I don't want that to happen. I don't want to get stuck with Dakota Rain Prescott. But I do want to mention something that you said about the Baltimore Ravens, and I want to kind of ask you this question. You're super high on them, and you're very knowledgeable, Tim. So I respect you. I have them not in the playoffs, and you have them at the 1 seed. So we're obviously on different sides of the planet here. Let me tell you where my head's at, and you tell me where I'm wrong, right? So they signed Jadeveon Clowney, and as far as I know, that's their only real pass rusher on the roster. And I don't like Jadeveon Clowney. He went a whole season without a sack. He's terrible last year. What is your thoughts on they're starting Rock Ya-Sin as one of their cornerbacks? I hate that. They have Ronald Darby on the roster. I hate that. They have one corner, a great safety, and a good middle linebacker. I like Patrick Queen on the other side, but I really don't like their defense. That's my biggest issue with Baltimore. And I think they've gradually gotten worse defensively, especially since he's on the Giants now. I forget names. Defensive coordinator on the Giants, please. Best one of the best. Wink
Martindale, yeah.
Yeah, especially with Wink gone, they've gotten worse and worse.
Yeah.
I don't like their running back room. I don't like their defense. And yes, Lamar Jackson can throw the ball. I'm not one of the guys that says he can't throw the football. But I don't like Todd Monken's scheme for him because Todd Monken's scheme's about space. And I think NFL teams already know Lamar Jackson struggles throwing out routes and outside of your standard
outside the
hash marks.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at when it comes to the Ravens. I just kind of want to hear your rebuttal to that.
Yeah, I totally hear you on the defense. The defense is definitely a problem there, and it could totally be the difference between them making the playoffs and not making the playoffs. And yeah, Jadeveon Clowney is not anything to shake a stick at. Somebody said not the same as he was. I mean, he hasn't been the same as he was since college. So yeah, I'm with you there. The defense is a huge problem. I personally like the running back room. I love J.K. Dobbins if he can stay healthy. which he hasn't been able to. I understand that, but yeah, I'm a big believer in Harbaugh. I'm a big believer in Lamar Jackson. I love their wide receivers, their tight ends. I'm buying in on the offense.
Love their wide receivers. Odell coming off of another really bad injury. Bateman's been underwhelming as a first-round draft pick. Nelson Aguilar stinks. You have an undersized receiver with an inaccurate quarterback in Zay Flowers. I don't know if I love their wide receiver.
I do.
I don't. Okay, that's fair.
Yeah,
and I guess we'll find that out, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, Odell, it comes down to whether he's healthy or not. Supposedly reports out of camp have been that him and Lamar Jackson are like that and doing really well together. I'll buy it. You need to see it on a field first. I really think that Super Bowl, he was about to go off and have an incredible game that Super Bowl before he tore his ACL. And it's another ACL injury, and it sucks to see that, but I think he can do it. It's a leap of faith, totally, for that. Rashad Bateman, same thing. When he's on the field, he's been absolutely electric, and he's lived up to being that first-round pick when he's been on the field. Hasn't been able to stay on the field. It's a health thing, I know, and I'm taking another leap of faith there, but I trust that he's going to be healthy, and I'm a Zay Flowers guy. I'm unapologetic about it. I'm excited for Zay Flowers.
Okay.
You want some comic relief?
Yes.
This might not be funny, but for all my dynasty people out there, since we're talking fantasy football, I'm getting harassed right now for a trade. Tim, you might find this funny. He's like, consult your audience. It's a solid trade. Offers me Jason Ferguson for Keenan Allen and a second-round pick for 2024. I was like, don't ever offer me something like that again.
You're talking about Jake Ferguson?
Yeah, whatever. It doesn't even matter. Ferguson, anybody.
Sure
yeah.
Wasn't a Jason I was missing.
Now, am I right for saying that take your trash pick and go home?
No,
your trash offer?
Is it a tight end? Jake Ferguson and a second-round pick for Keenan Allen?
Yeah, in a dynasty league.
Hold on. I think Keenan Allen's got. Maybe I might be on the other side of that, right? I think Keenan Allen's on the broad side of 30. I don't think he has a huge future. And if you're thinking future, I don't like Jake Ferguson as the tight end over there in Dallas. I think Luke Schoonmaker will end up being their number one on the Cowboys. So I think that the thing that you got to look at is he's offering you the wrong tight end. Luke Schoonmaker is going to end up being their number one tight end. So it's a bad trade, right? I think Keenan Allen's value right now is a second-round draft pick if you're out of it.
Yeah.
Well, so I don't think it's a terrible trade as that.
I had Dallas Goedert on that team too. So to me,
it's no quirky rules like my dynasty league has basically a tight end premium league.
Yeah, no, it's not tight end premium.
Okay.
And for me, I am on the other side of Keenan Allen. By judging by Tim's reaction, I think he might be on my side on this one. I think he's going to eat in a Kellen Moore offense in the slot. Future wise, you might only have a couple years out of him, but I think a mistake a lot of people make in dynasty football is they get rid of useful players too early for the next shiny thing. And in dynasty, it could keep you competitive longer than you think.
Jake Ferguson's not the guy. I don't think
definitely not. He's trying to trade rate me. Ain't gonna happen. So I hope you're listening. Your trade sucks, bro. One last thing of comic relief. I thought cheesiest thing of the year, watching Hard Knocks, and it was the cheap pop Mick Foley Award was doing the Sopranos theme song with Robert Saleh in the car. I thought that was a cheap pop, and it could have got a little bit more creative than that. That's all I'm saying. Maybe I'm on the island there, but I mean, if someone's brand new and they're intern, you're like, I need you to make a little ride promo video for me. Pretty sure first thing they would select is the Sopranos theme song if you're the New York Jets. Am I wrong on that one? How'd you guys feel about that? Did you watch Hard Knocks?
I didn't watch it.
No, I watched it. I don't know. I didn't think of it that way.
I like Saleh in general. Nothing against him.
Love Saleh. So that's kind of all we have for today. Any final thoughts, Kyle, Tim, Godfrey? I mean, it's been a fun show.
Yeah. I'm kind of surprised that I got away with not putting the Jets in and nobody came at me for it.
And you put the Patriots in.
I actually am happy that you didn't put the Jets in because I thought I was being hot take by having the Jets as like a 2 seed and like I'm higher on them than most people are, right? Like, so, but yesterday on Wire to Wire, they had them at 2-3-2, 2 seed, 3 seed, 2 seed. Today, I think Godfrey had them 2. I think that I feel like I'm not as hot take on them. I think 2's not crazy. So I'm glad.
The AFC is very difficult this year. The degrees of separation. I mean, it could take 1 week can make all these picks flip upside down in the AFC. Yep. It is that close. Like if I'm betting like win totals or who's going to make the playoffs, I'm staying away from the AFC this year. It is a minefield. I'm more comfortable trying to take a riskier bet in the NFC landscape. I mean, it literally can be one game that could change the whole division in the AFC North. That could happen in the AFC East, and it could definitely ripple in the AFC West. I mean, the AFC South is the one where it's like, yeah, okay. I mean, what are we going to do? But it is probably, in my recent memory, one of the most difficult landscapes to pick in recent memory of the AFC. It's a great thing. Like you said, it's pay-per-view, Gene, but I don't know. I wouldn't bet my life on any of the division winners this year.
Utah taking an early 7-0 lead for my college football fans. I agree with you, Godfrey. I think it's going to be wild. Kyle, any final thoughts? Tim, any final thoughts? I went to Kyle first. Sorry, Tim.
No, you're good. Before we log off, 1 week from today, 1 week from pretty much right this second, Detroit Lions at the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs 6.5-point favorites. Who do you got?
I have the Chiefs, and I think they'll cover.
I agree.
Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm with you guys as well. I'm sure we'll get more into it next week, and I'm sure Godfrey will change his opinion on that about 3 times before then.
And unfortunately, I will be out next week. I'll be in Universal Studios. We go down for Halloween Horror Nights, so it'll be 3 of you guys next week. So have some fun. I'm Wire to Wire Gene. That's the Prince of Production, Kyle Edwards. Taking it deep with D. Godfrey and big time Timmy. We are signing out.